Hello, my name is Dan Leaskar. I'm Chairman and CEO with EON. And today we're going to talk about the EON-XR 9.0's new features. So it's going to be a heck of a ride. We're going to go over a lot of features. And I think by the end of this presentation, you'll be as excited as I am about this release that has been in beta for a month. And now, starting, I guess, next week, we have a formal release. I've been already playing with this product now for a better part, almost a month. And I've studied the learning capacity, the admin capacity, the training, the performance. And it is really a great step, and I must thank all our developers for their efforts. I know many endless nights. With respect to the platform itself, the library, the 1.1 million 3D assets, the ability to capture your own content, import it, the features related to content creation, the content experience, what you can do now, which has been significantly enhanced, the ability to do administrative option and create a customized institution and track the students in a very efficient way to a level that has not been possible before. But also the training and the performance modules. The training obviously includes things like guidance and assessment, the ability to be remotely and multi-users in meetings, which we call XR meetings, the performance related modules also with persistent tracking, and a lot of new features that are coming up in 9.0 and also shortly after in July. Now, to group this in some type of logical fashion, I have done 7 different presentations, and this presentation will do both the whole, you can see it as a whole, or you can see it individually as chapters, depending what you're interested in. So without further ado, I'll start with the first one, which is focused on cloud-based XR, the fact that we are an agnostic, hardware agnostic platform. And at this time, we also have a total new UI. So let's go to that. So the idea with a cloud-based platform is to be able to develop, run, manage, access, store, host, and distribute all your XR content. Normally there will be text related to this, but I will talk to it because there was, so I can get you a whole continuation. You can see that we support Magic Leap, Oculus Vive, iOS, Windows, Mac OS. So it's a very broad, more than almost 30 different devices, and we keep adding to them. So let's be a little bit more specific and have a glance. So obviously a lot of people choose to create in a PC environment or a Mac environment. There is also, you can select instead of using your tablet, both for creation, or you can also use it for the experience side. What you see here is what we call persistent tracking. You can also use your mobile device if you don't have a tablet. There's 4 billion people that have smartphones, and you can use those not only to experience things in augmented virtual reality, but also to meet, that you see in this example, with other people in other locations and be fully interactive. And that can be done on the object level, as you see there, but it can also be done using a full environment. Let me just stop that video. Yeah, so in this case, you can see that I start a meeting, I invite participants, very much the same you do a Zoom. The big difference is that you're not in a Zoom. You have participants with you and you experience a full, either an object in mobile, or you can actually transfer this object in augmented reality and walk physically throughout this, like you see here. I'm walking step by step, and I can even walk inside the building while I have other participate, and I can communicate with them with voice over IP. So that's an example. If we stay on a mobile device, so in this case it's a tablet, let's look at that. So there are different ways you can experience always in EON-XR, sorry. You have the mobile, you have the augmented reality, and you have also the virtual reality, which I'll come back to in a bit. Now, how do we experience virtual reality using a mobile? We have something called a Humido, and this is a device that's linked Two, you can link to your phone, and it comes, it's very inexpensive, and that provides EON shifts from the normal mode to VR mode, and you can actually get a very good experience that way. Another exciting thing is that we are not limited to Humido. We can do even the good old Google Cardboard if you prefer that, or if you want to do something more sophisticated, there's a number of suppliers that still produce glasses that you then can stick in your phone. So that's all you've seen here is just having what basically you have in your pocket today. Now, if you want to take this a step further, it's also possible to do that. EON supports a range of augmented reality glasses and virtual reality devices, including augmented reality with Vuzix. You can see here, that's a good example. Or augmented reality using, in this case, Microsoft HoloLens, both version 1 and version 2. That's, by the way, the device that Microsoft got an amazing order of $21 billion with the Army, and EON has actually secured an order, not as big, but with the US Air Force for virtual augmented reality. When it comes to virtual reality, we support most devices, but the big ones are obviously HTC Vive that you can see here, and that is very useful if you want to do advanced training, for example. There are both wireless versions and wired versions. So remote collaboration, training, etc., is something that this device would be perfect for. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything else. For example, Oculus Quest is one of the most popular ones that we have as we speak. And this, you can do 3D assessment, etc., using this type of device. So that gives you an insight on what you can do with respect to the cloud and what you can do using different hardware. Okay, so let's say you start that process of creation. One thing that will strike you directly is the ease of use, the ability to do it yourself, the fact that you can use building blocks consisting of 1.1 million assets, or you can import your own data, and you can do so having very high visual quality. So let's have a glance at that. Let's start with the library. So EON supports a big library consisting of many objects, more than 1.1 million, and they've all been now freshed up with 9.0 with much higher visual quality. And these are then used as building blocks for the ability to create and share 3D objects. I forgot to say that you can do the same with 360. So we also have a vast library of 360 images and videos. Once you have your assets, let's say it's a 3D object, then it's as easy or even easier than PowerPoint to create your content. So this is the previous interface. The new one looks even better, but you can see even here that it's basically click and point, very intuitive. It takes about 45 minutes to be certified to create lessons, whether you're a student or you're a faculty member. With 9.0, we're also introducing a brand new user interface where the environment is much cleaner, it's easier to follow, the whole experience is better and allows the student or the faculty member to focus on the content creation and the quality. So talk about quality, how about the visual quality? So we have basically upgraded the whole experience. So we have something called physics-based rendering, real-time shadows, reflections, and rather than talk about it, what better to do than actually show it to you. So here's an example looking at the bicycle. Here's another example looking at a fish that you can dissect and interact with, or even put objects in real life. So this car is obviously augmented reality. And everything the student had here to do this is a phone. So a regular phone that they hold up our platform and they can experience it. It's been going to that level that's almost difficult to depict what's real and not. You can see here there's a yellow car, there's a vehicle, and there's other objects. And I often ask which of those are real, and many times I don't get the right answer. So let me give you 2 seconds. Which of those objects are real? If you guess the car, that's the wrong answer. The right answer is the rover. So you can see that clearly there, that the shadows and the whole effects provide this visual experience that's quite exciting. And this is not limited to just single objects. You can do a bunch of other stuff. You can actually interact. There's a feature that allows you to move or disassemble objects and place them in different physical spaces. I know when I was doing this, my wife was a bit upset because I was messing up the living room, so she kicked it around, as you see there. Now that's a joke, but it is not a joke, the fact that you can affect real environments in augmented reality. And this can propagate to other environments, so you can, for example, have life-size historical environments like that one, or you can have something like a tabletop experience. You can scale it to anything, or you can even go from small versions like you see here to all the way to life size. So you can adapt the size. So for example, an avatar can be miniature or can be even bigger than life, as you can see there in a second where I'm scaling up things. So that shows a little bit of the visual quality. Now, how about if you have real objects? You can also scan using LiDAR technology. You can go to a statue, and we support that, to scan it. And LiDAR technology is wonderful because it also helps to depict, if you put an object in a 3D space, what's in front and what's behind. So if you look here, the sofa is in front and the AR object is behind. Now, if it was not supported by LiDAR, then the system would not know what's in front and behind, but EON-XR knows and supports that. Obviously, this type of application are very useful for mechanical engineering, Boston Dynamics. You can also take things, you're not limited to indoors, you can take those and make them bigger in life outside. You can even go to the extent that you have an object that you take with you and you put it at the beach. You can see here someone got his feet wet and the car is floating in the water. So real experience, and the tracking is extremely stable, that you can actually sustain AR objects even in waves while you interact with it. So that's and also you can do this combination of real life. So you can see here, for example, that depending on the waves, the engine is moving. This is more of an interesting example of what you can do with the technology. Now, if you want to go from single objects, how about if you want to visit a museum and you don't want to leave your room? You can scale that museum. In this case, it happens to be more like an exhibit, and you can walk physically around. You can see that when I put transparency, I'm actually in my living room, and you can see there in the window some type of painting. But obviously the problem is in a small room that you hit your head against the wall very quickly, like I did here. So I took that experience to the next level and I brought it outdoors. This is on my patio, and then I could walk for like 10-20 yards. But even in this environment, after a while you hit your neighbor's garden, so to speak. So you have limitations there. But if you go on a football, soccer field, there are no limitations. So then you can actually go all the way. You can walk if this museum is 100 yards, actually walk for 100 yards. But it's not only about experiencing spaces, it's about interacting in spaces. So let me share an example with you. This is a kitchen, and again, you can see I'm at the same place. I loaded my kitchen. I can interact with, not only walk around, but also, for example, prepare the food. I'm also able to invite other participants. EON has something called XR meetings. I didn't do that in this particular case. And then we can actually prepare the food together. So if it gets too hot in the kitchen, you take a quick swim. And then when you come back, you can see the kitchen is there. You walk in, you turn off transparency, and let's see if the tagliatelle is ready. So that's the dream that we've had for many years, to do what we call the virtual campus, using life-size XR, using meetings. And when I'm done, I just shrink my kitchen to the size of a matchbox. I put it in my pocket and I bicycle home. No, last part was a joke, but you get a good sense of what is possible to do today with 9.0. You can also upload, if you don't want to use the models that are offered, you can upload your own models, and EON supports a number of CAD systems, and also non-CAD data. So it uploads, it helps to optimize the number of polygons. It helps also to orient the objects the way you do it with the correct axis. And then you can bring with you, if you have annotation, or you can add the annotation, then use those building blocks later on to create your content. Now, many people have 3D assets that are non-CAD. So OBJ, it can be also 3D Studio Max data animation package. And that's also possible to import in 3D. So FBX, Max, and GLT, many new formats. Similar process there. You just drag and drop your file. You set the category that you want to do it. The model is prepared, and then you can preview it. And if you like what you see, you create your thumbnail for your lesson of your asset, and then you can do the conversion. Okay, so that's basically what you can do with the ease of use in interaction creation. Now, in addition to that, obviously, now you want to build your lesson. So the product offers the upgraded version of the basic interaction that is default. So certain things you can do without having to do anything. So annotation, explosion, transparency, slicing plane, the ability to disassemble and snap. You get all the visual quality that you wish default. So these are things that you can be lazy and you don't have to focus on remembering how to create. It's just default. Obviously, a lot of questions have been how you log in the platform. So on your mobile, it's super simple to log in. It's just following it takes a few seconds. But you can also use your mobile to help log in your Oculus device. So that's also now highly simplified. So you get basically a code that you then use for your Oculus, and you can go. Some of the examples with respect to annotations, which is one feature that we have. And you notice what's beautiful about EON-XR 9.0 is that the same model or lesson you can experience in mobile mode, in AR mode, in virtual reality mode on your mobile, or in virtual reality mode on your HMD, your headset, for example, Oculus. So you don't have to create it for each of this. Is automatically with a flip of a button. One nice thing with annotation in VR is that they are 3D. So the system knows if it's close to your eyes, the letters are big. If it's further away, the letters are smaller. So we take that in account, which is a very neat function for 3D, and it's dynamic. That's the beauty of that. There's also the ability, so every feature that I'm going to show you propagates, whether it's explode in this case, and it propagates throughout the 4 modalities, as I talked about: mobile, augmented reality, virtual reality on a headset, or virtual reality on a mobile device. Transparency, the same thing. I'm not going to repeat myself. And it goes through every single feature, and it's quite handy to experience. Okay, slicing plane, what's that? That's the ability to explore its interaction tool. Let me just show you that enables you to, as the name implies, slice through a product. So you can actually cut it and see various angles. This is very useful for mechanical engineering, and many other things, biology, electronics, etc. And you can do that in various orientations. If you can see this dog here, I'm using the slicing to do the same, and you can see how I define the plane, and then based on the plane I define I'll be able to experience the various attributes. It's also possible to, instead of doing the slicing, is of course to peel it more like anatomy, like onion, all the way to the skeleton, and then start interacting with it, exploring the various aspects. A very useful feature that many people are using is what we call disassemble and snap. So looking at this phone, this is not far from away from the beach. I can grasp different things. All I need to do is use my phone here. I don't use anything else to grasp it and interact with it. And then what's interesting is that the system has a proximity sensor, so it senses when you're close to it and it snaps back again. Shadows, as you've probably seen, are very important, real-time shadows, to get that extra sense of realism. So it's something that I'm very thrilled about, which makes it difficult to see what's real and not. And overall PBR visual quality, I think we spoke about that. I showed you mainly this in augmented reality, but this also is the same if you look here in mobile or in virtual reality, either for the headset or virtual reality, as you can see here. And it actually gets, if it's in a dark environment, the reflection will reflect that dark environment. It does reflect the real environment based on physics-based rendering. So it's quite astonishing. So that's the basic. How about if we move up a little bit and talk about life size? So I'm talking about XR environments and browsing lessons and etc. The reflections is something very interesting. So if you look at the banana is actually reflecting the object, the real object. I talked about it before, but now you can also see it in action. Life size means that I can take an object, click on this button here, and then it becomes scale 1:1. So now I can actually walk around it in my garden, holding my phone in front of my eyes and experience it. I can go upstairs. No, that's unfortunately not possible, although it's very tempting. But it gives me a very solid feeling, and this is specifically useful when I'm multiple user and I try to explain or do a 3D guided tour or a 3D recording, which we'll come to later. We've added environments as a new feature this year with this release. Actually was already in 8.4, and with the environments you are able to move from just like you see an object-centric environment or just a 360 environment to a whole multi-station learning experience. Then I can move from one station to the other in a room, and I have learning objects spread out through that space. And again, it becomes much more exploratory and more, let's say, immersive, engaging experience, as you can see here. And again, this works in various modalities as usual. So you see a variation from headsets to all the way to mobile devices. I showed you already the examples. I'm not going to repeat what I showed previously when you have a mobile device versus you have a different environment. So that's possible. You can also switch on a flip. So here by the way, here's interesting. You can see here how I'm walking through the space, and each space has a different challenge for me that I have to address. So it's a multi-station experience with different challenges in the same room, rather than going to individual lessons in different places. Hospitals, we talked about that. Changing environments, that's something people want to do quite often, to go from, let's say, place my lesson in different contexts, and that's done with a click of a button. And of course the visual quality propagates through there also, so you can see the fire and how the fire affects the shadow, given that extra sense of engaging realism. The classroom environment multiple lesson is what I was talking about, so you can have several lessons in the same environment. Okay, browsing lessons. How do you do that? So the browsing methodology on the phone is just very simple, very intuitive. The browsing experience on this type of device, if you go to headset, is also very click-oriented. You can see even sound, and not see, but you can listen to the sound. Let's see. Okay, so that gave us a little bit about the big environments. Now there's numerous features that we cannot go into today, but I just wanted to highlight some of them that I get a lot of questions about: language localization, how you embed videos, animation, create quizzes, 3D recordings. So I'll give you just quick glance. So localization, now we support many languages. So you can switch the language that you want to experience from Arabic to Chinese to Magyar, Hungarian, Italian, and you can see that the whole experience is shifting, the whole interface is shifting to that. We also support with voice to text more than 32 languages, and we hope to migrate to about 100. So it's truly a global platform. In these environments, you can do navigation. You can see here navigation in slightly different modalities. So in virtual reality for mobile, you use more of a object navigation because it's easier. In augmented reality, we can actually use walk navigation, like similar to what you use, for example, in a headset. So you can go between those in a very easy way. Most of us have a set distance between the eyes, which is about 62 millimeters. Now, if you happen to have a wider or more narrow sight, we can adapt that. And that's a wonderful feature just to get that perfect virtual reality experience, whether it's for 360 or 3D. How about annotations? We improved significantly the ability to edit and add annotations. So now it's really super simple, easy to edit, to add, to move them. Has become a blast. One of the more fun features I like has to do with videos. So you can include and embed video and other materials into your learning objects. So it's very cool in virtual reality. You can see I hold the video inside that environment. In this case, it's kind of superimposed, but we're moving to have it almost like a floating screen that you see here, which gives it that extra dimension. Likewise, we are supporting animations. You can create your animations in a 3D package and then bring them here. Very soon, we're also adding the ability to create the animation within our platform, but in a very simple way, without giving up on the ease of use. Quizzes. That's something that's very popular, to create them and to also use them. And they work seamlessly in all modalities. This is perhaps one of my most popular features, the ability to, which we have had in the past, this is actually an earlier version, but to do the ability to create, let's say, a 3D recording of a step-by-step procedure, and then guide your students through that procedure, and then allow them to do it, and then compare the outcome. And the outcome, the system compares the procedure, the sequence, the right way versus the wrong way. Let's assuming that the teacher did it the right way, and then you can see the final score, how many incorrect steps you have, what is it you need to do better. So a true assessment, very similar to what you can do in an aircraft simulator today. And we are working a lot in building and expanding this feature throughout all the platforms. So we have it in mobile, we have it now on a tablet, like you see there. And we also, of course, started having this originally on the Oculus. So you can see that feature there, where the teacher records the procedure, and then the student has to follow that procedure and get it right, so to speak, and get graded. So that's about 3D recording and assessment. And the outcome of this, for example, on a mobile, can look something like this.
This is Perseverance, or nicknamed Percy, which is a car-sized rover designed to explore Mars as part of NASA's Mars 2020 mission. Notice at the end of the robotic arm is the Sherlock.
So you see the same 3D recording in different modalities at the same time. So virtual reality, augmented reality, mobile reality. And it's a dynamic environment, so it's not pre-recorded that it's pre-cooked. You can actually move around, so you can have another angle than the creator of this. Very exciting stuff. Let's move to the next, perhaps the most popular feature during the period of that we've had with the pandemic was EON-XR meetings. So go from the flat experience to something much more exciting where you can have your participants joining from various corners of the world, and you sign up, you launch your meeting, you can then experience that object or that environment in either augmented reality or virtual reality or mobile reality for that matter. So this is mobile reality, very simple. This is actually, and here you are in augmented reality, you physically walk on a place and you can enjoy this have with people in the same place, so they can be in the same room, or they can be in different locations, or they can be a mix of same room, and that's spanning from single objects all the way to full environments. Very, very exciting solution. And I think very helpful during the pandemic. And again, same principle here. We are not limited to have it for just one modality. We have it also for things like Magic Leap. And the benefit with AR glasses is obviously that you have your hands free. So you can see that Jan there is in another location. He's interacting with this and preparing him for takeoff by and that really collaboration between two locations and even in the same location is fascinating. Last but not least, a very popular feature is called Search Assist. And what is that? Is the ability when you get a model in EON, and let's say you haven't put, you want to inject annotation, let's say the annotation is there for each object, but you also want to put memos, information about that annotation, let's say the nozzle of the racket. Rather than you going and gathering information on the internet and placing it there, the system can do it for you. So you can, we are using something called the scrape technology, enabling to extract data and give you suggestion what to put, and actually without ever leaving your application. So that's, I think, really cool. There's lots of other things that we don't have time. You can create your own workspace. You will have where all your applications are there. You can create your own playlist with, or for students with the lessons that you want them to have. You can also be in offline mode, meaning that you can download things when you are in a location, in a remote location, so you don't have time for that. Let me just enjoy my coffee here just a second. And these features enable you to have that ease of use irrespective of location. You can also create a very vivid interaction, whether it's in 2D, 3D, or even 360. So here you can see some examples of that.
So today we are going to review some aspects of the hidden anatomy that are relevant for neurosurgical approaches and pathology.
So yeah, I'm embedding these experiences with lessons, features in a very good way, and I can combine this with introductions, with explanations, with animations, etc. How about the admin side? So the first thing is going to happen when you get the platform is you're going to have a session with one of our experts. In this case, it's Marcin. Let's listen in.
EON-XR admin, lead admin section. We will look on the first.
Yeah, so what he's talking about here is just a second. Yeah, so he's talking about lead admin, how the backend works, how you set up your students, what is it you need to do when you get into the platform, and all the aspects necessary to have a successful setup. With that, we are pretty much done. As a last and seventh slide, I selected to go into both the exciting marketplace when we open the door for many more applications, where we not limited just to the many thousands of objects that you have in the platform, but now with the marketplace you can also expand and import data from third-party websites that we've integrated or into the platform, so you have large access to data. And we made the process simple to import them. EON doesn't basically charge for this feature. We just pass on the cost if you want to get access to those, and all for the convenience of having a lot of assets. So talking about a lot of assets today, we talked a lot about 3D, not much about interactive 360 images. So we have improved the whole experience around interaction. You can see the buttons, the quality has improved. Obviously, for us that have played with 9.0 for the last month, we use the pre-release that has been available. Now you'll see the real application. I often get the question is what's going to happen in the near future. So number of things. One, for example, we've linked in the past with CG Trader. We're linking now with third parties like Sketchfab, so you can get free models immediately imported to the platform without any headaches. We also want to enable yourself to be the creator of content in respect to 3D. So we are adding a feature to capture 3D. So that's going to be after 9.0, where you can work with your phone, both for capture 3D and capture 360. Ultimately, the virtual campus, I kind of described the experience, which entails the ability to talk with other people in other corners of the world or in the same environment and interact in a lab or a hospital or kitchen or whatever you prefer in life size. An area that we find is very exciting is using artificial intelligence for automatically generating annotations. So in 360 and 3D using technologies. We work often with our partners like Google. There's a technology called Google Lens that allows us to do that. And then also to share more. So record lessons, share them, not automatically, also you can do in YouTube and other environments. A question that we receive often, how about if I'm very advanced? I want to do much more. Yes, you can. First of all, we are coming up with an advanced mode for dummies. This is something that, in essence, it makes it easy for someone that doesn't know programming. Now, someone that knows, for example, game engine like Unity, they can also open up the application and continue in Unity and add richness to that. Virtual Campus is where we're going. So it looks very science fiction, but science fiction has become reality. Today, with 9.0, you can do what is in the picture here. You can have a person with a mobile device experience that immersively, someone with Google Glasses or something else, all being in an EON-XR meeting around an object. Or why not do a merge campus where you use the XR meetings in context of an environment that can vary with a click of a button. And explain concepts that are very complicated. We also think this will quickly expand beyond education. We work with United Nations, for example, XR-enabled cities. This is, by the way, the image here comes from one of our friends, an advisory board member. His name is John Gedda, and I'm interviewing him soon. And he's very fascinated how this blended learning environment can go to XR-enabled cities, to enterprise, and obviously to create what many thought was a dream as XR University, but now it becomes a reality. So first of all, thank you so much for your time. And don't hesitate if you're interested more in this, please reach out to me and you're gonna get a version of 9.0 to work with. So contact me at dan@eonreality.com or any of our colleagues that can tell you and even give you in-depth demo. Have a good one. Take care now and wonderful day. Bye.